Hello, and welcome to another episode of Toonami Pre-Flight. I'm Gil Austin.
I'm Jason DeMarco.
And today we're going to be talking Case Closed, Detective Conan, some of our favorite mystery movies. We've got a sneak peek of our Hunter x Hunter marathon, which will be running over July 4th weekend. The 2nd? Yeah.
Yep.
We have a Bloom Room, where Steve goes and talks to people smarter than all of us. And we have a music video from Thundercat.
Yes.
We have...
And some other things.
Some other stuff?
Yeah.
Let's get to it. First up, Case Closed, Detective Conan, depending on if you're, I guess, in America.
I think several countries around the world, if you're not in Japan.
So, Case Closed is from the manga by Goshu Aoyama? Ayama? I don't know. Not very good.
Gosho Aoyama.
Oh, see, now.
Aoyama, there it is.
There
Gosho Aoyama. Yeah. Manga created in 1994 and has over 940 volumes, which is bananas.
Significant. So, if you haven't started reading the manga, now is a good time to start.
You might be behind. You might have 1,000 volumes. Just think about that.
Yeah.
I'm a voracious reader, and there's no scenario in which I'm reading 1,000 of anything. Like, even my favorite story, whoever my favorite writer is, like, you could, if it was a Cormac McCarthy story that had 1,000 chapters, I'd probably be like, nah, I'm good.
Especially if you hadn't read any of them.
Yeah. Like, I think I can wrap up, if you can't wrap your story up in 1,000 volumes, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's more akin to how it's more like a comic book where you can just read Superman's adventures for 40 years
right.
and nothing, really changes too terribly much. But anyway, so clearly I'm not the audience for the Detective Conan manga, which has sold over 140 million copies worldwide.
Well.
So, I'm obviously in the minority. And then the show, when did the show come out?
In Japan, it was 96.
Yeah.
And then Funimation got
some episodes.
100 episodes or so.
And it made it over here in 2003?
Yeah. So they licensed it in 2003. Adult Swim aired it in 2004, but only aired about half of those. So it was...
Yeah, it didn't do that well.
A year.
Which doesn't really surprise me, frankly. But the anime and the manga are still going. And there's over 800 episodes of the anime, so that puts it up there with One Piece and Doraemon and those shows in Japan that have just been going forever, and it's still popular, and people love it. So I think it makes sense why they would try to bring it over here to the U.S. to put it on Adult Swim, and it's a mystery show, but it's also kind of a comedy. There's definitely a ton of goofy humor, and since the detective is a kid, there's lots of like whoop 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 whoop, like while he's at school. But it's a weird, I think, and I was thinking about this as I rewatched to some of them. Full disclosure, I've never been a huge fan of the show, but I understand the appeal, and I don't think it's a bad show. It's just not really for me. But like, it's a weird mix of goofy kiddie humor, total serious. I mean, people are being murdered.
Like actual life and death mystery stuff.
And then every episode has at least 5 or 6 scenes where Detective Conan explains how he knows something in a very like 1960s Agatha Christie movie kind of way. Like, it's simple. What I learned was, it's definitely in the tradition of Sherlock Holmes and Agatha Christie and like Miss Marple,
Encyclopedia Brown,
those kind of mystery novels where the person explains how they knew everything, but it feels weirdly outdated as a style, and then you mash that up with, you're supposed to feel pathos for the people who are being murdered, and then you're supposed to laugh at the goofy jokes. It's sort of a weird mix that I think maybe works better. Maybe the humor works better in Japan. People like it here. It has a fan base, but it's just nowhere near as popular
it's not a breakout
as it is
hit
in Japan. So we showed it in 2004, and we did not make the promos, but the people who worked I think on the Bump team, but people who worked for Adult Swim Action made some promos, and they kind of feel like they want to be Toonami promos, but they're not quite there. But they tried. So let's check out one of our
action promo.
Let's check out our Case Closed long promo.
When Tokyo police needed a crime solved, they turned to Jimmy Kudo, an inquisitive and popular young soccer ace with hopes of being the next Sherlock Holmes. Pretty big shoes to fill. But when the young detective is attacked after witnessing a crime, Jimmy discovers that the biggest shoes to fill might be his own. Forced to hide under the alias of 6-year-old Conan Edogawa, Jimmy now looks to uncover the villains who drugged him. That, or leave it to the authorities.
You get the cause of death? We're pretty sure it's the knife in his back, sir.
Case Closed. Premiering Monday, May 24th at 12:30. Adult Swim.
So let's check out. That definitely felt like sort of a Toonami promo. Not a bad attempt.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who would have done it. I guess.
I mean, it had to be Hamid. Yeah. So one of our guys who works on the Bump team still. Shout out to Hamid. So let's check out the short promo for Case Closed.
When Tokyo police needed a crime solved, they turned to Jimmy Kudo, an inquisitive and popular young soccer ace with hopes of being the next Sherlock Holmes. Pretty big shoes to fill. But when the young detective is attacked after witnessing a crime, Jimmy discovers that the biggest shoes to fill might be his own. Case Closed. Premiering Monday, May 24th at 12:30. Adult Swim.
That's classic promo writing right there. I am in no way saying I'm better than that writing. I've written that kind of line many times, but the biggest shoes to fill may be his own. That is
TNT promo line.
That is a promo line if there ever was one, baby. But I have no idea who made it. But so yeah, the gimmick behind the show is basically that. So there's this. He's supposed to be 17, so he's not exactly an old man, but there's an up and coming young detective who's obsessed with solving crimes and who's already known amongst the Tokyo police force as a person to be relied upon when you can't figure out a crime. And he basically gets caught up in something where this organization called the Black Organization, they mug him essentially and poison him with an experimental drug. I don't know why they're rolling around with an experimental drug, but they have one. And instead of killing him, it magically turns him into is he a 6-year-old?
I think he's 8.
Yeah, it's a young boy. So he's got the mind of an adult, but he's trapped in a young boy's body. So he ends up moving in with his girlfriend, or the girl that sort of wants to be his girlfriend, and her dad, who is a seemingly alcoholic, not very bright detective himself.
He's got some issues.
Yeah. And
he's been on the job for a while.
And basically they take him along on all the crimes, on cases, and the dad never knows that the kid is the one solving the crime. And then sometimes they drug the dad, so he's just standing there asleep, and they put like a low hat over his head, and then Detective Conan like pretends to be him. Is like, I think he got over there. Like it's total Keystone Cops. Like,
yeah, you would. For 800 episodes, you would think there would be some residual effects of constantly being drugged.
Yeah, and I have to say, I have in no way gone beyond the first 50 that are available dubbed. So, like, I have no idea if the show changes drastically, and by now it's totally different. But it seems to be one of those shows like Doraemon, which is just sort of the same thing every episode. It's Law and Order, you know. It's like you get the same thing. You get a few jokes.
It's a procedural.
Yeah, it's a procedural. You get a few jokes. You get a crime that he's got to figure out. He figures it out at the end. He's the man, but he never figures out how to be an actual man. So, yeah, tricky. The biggest shoes to fill are his own, man. That's some heavy shit. So, and I guess he likes to point, like, I'm the man. But so, yeah, it's a fairly popular and known show in the U.S., but I think it's a particular melange of ideas that I think is just too culturally specific to something that appeals to Japanese audiences.
I think that there are shows that do some of the things that Case Closed does better that people react to more, that there's more fighting in or that there's more action or whatever it is.
But we did use it as a jumping off point for the subject of today's broadcast, which was, what's your favorite mystery movie? Now, again, these lines are blurry. You know, if you look up the mystery genre online, you'll get a bunch of thrillers because they kind of are considered somewhat the same thing. But there are thrillers that have no mystery, and there are mysteries that aren't really thrillers. So it's kind of, we understand it's a little blurry. So we're going to talk about some of our favorite mysteries. And when we get into your choices, we'll be able to see like the differences in what we thought of as a mystery versus what other people might think of as a mystery.
Let's do it.
I think it's a mystery why I'm doing this show with Gil.
Wait,
it's a mystery.
Why you're doing the show?
You're a mystery.
With Gil?
No, Gil, period, is a mystery. He's a medical mystery. You're a mystery. I don't understand you.
Who can?
Yeah, nobody, I don't think.
Unpluggable.
Unpluggable. It's a particularly cromulent word.
Indeed.
So let's talk about my first choice for one of my favorite mystery movies, which is Francis Ford Coppola's classic film, The Conversation. I believe this movie was done in 1973.
74.
The crazy thing is, this movie was a palate cleanser for Mr. Coppola between some movies you might have heard of, The Godfather Part 1 and 2. This was
just
like
a fun little lark.
Yeah, this was like, I'm going to go just knock out this quickie, and then I'm going to go do one of the other greatest movies ever made. And the even crazier thing is, he ended up making one of the best like thrillers ever. Probably Apocalypse Now is my favorite Coppola film, and my favorite film period, but The Conversation is my second favorite. It is incredible. I've watched it many, many times. It rewards repeated viewing. But it has not had the half-life of his other movies because it was not a massive hit at the time. It's certainly known by cinephiles, but it's not a part of the larger cultural conversation in the way that Godfather and Apocalypse Now is. Wouldn't you agree?
I would.
Mystery Man?
I think it's also somewhat hard to watch it now for the first time, just because it relies so much on technology that's so dated that it just is kind of unbelievable. But at the time, was awesome.
That's why I actually love it. That's one of the things I still love. It also has a very, very open, let's say an open ending, which some people find disconcerting, but I loved.
Yeah.
So let's just start with a clip from the movie. I've got a clip in the trailer. This clip is basically the plot of the movie. The very, very basic plot is that Harry Call, who is played by Gene Hackman, has been hired to record a conversation, and it's a very tricky conversation to record because it's in a huge public plaza and the people are moving. And so they have to set up a team. It's basically, it starts off as somewhat of a heist film. Like they have to they're solving a problem, which is how to record this conversation. And then he becomes obsessed with the recording itself because it sounds like two people that are afraid someone's planning to murder them. And he starts to suspect that the guy that hired him to record this conversation is doing so that he can be certain they are onto him and will then kill them. So he's worried about his own complicity in this murder. So he becomes obsessed with following these people. This scene is in a hotel room where someone actually is murdered. Spoiler alert, it's not who you think. So this is just to show the great feeling of terror that Coppola can sort of dig into that I think is pretty wonderful. And the frustration that Harry Call has not being able to be in the room and do anything. He's sort of impotent, and that's sort of his whole character is he's afraid to do anything and struggling with it literally the whole movie. So check this scene out.
have train problems. Will also appear the problems in station crews and electronic crossing. The answer is no. At the end of the news last night, it was stated that Nixon would not deliver the State of the Union message in person. Why not? Well, we don't really know. The only explanation was given by
Look out for the bump! Will you cut that out? How can you yell at me like that? In my condition, you're not fit to be the father of my child.
That is, to me, a perfectly claustrophobic scene of a person who's locked and can't do anything when they desperately want to.
Yeah, and his character has a slight tendency towards obsession and paranoia.
And waking up, there is nothing worse than when you're in a bad mood or hungover and you wake up and loud cartoons are on. It is the pits, and that's perfect little touch. So here's a trailer. I couldn't find a good trailer from back in the day, so someone actually cut a trailer using the music from Tinker Tailor's Soldier Spy trailer, it's a fan cut trailer, but I think it's a pretty good trailer. So if you want a little bit more of a sense of the movie, here's a fairly short trailer. Check this out.
How do you do it, Harry?
Two people. They're convinced that they can't be recorded because they're in a crowd and constantly moving. Now the assignment is to get everything they say. Who's interested in these two anyway?
I don't know for sure.
Here's the Harry, the best, bar none.
What's the matter, Harry?
Some guy's following me.
How'd you get this phone number?
It has something to do with the assignment last week.
Later in the week. Sunday, maybe.
What are they talking about?
I don't care what they're talking about. All I want is a nice, fat recording.
He'd kill us if he got the chance.
One surefire rule that I have learned. I don't know anything about human nature. I don't know anything about curiosity. This is my business.
Don't get involved in this, Mr. Gould. These tapes are dangerous. Someone may get hurt.
Jack to our hotel. Room 773.
Also, in case anyone cares, yeah, you can see by the list of actors in the movie some of the greatest actors of all time in that movie. So the conversation, and I could have just, Gil and I were talking about this, I could have just done all 70s conspiracy thrillers, but we'll move on from that. That's my favorite one.
Episode
That's
99.
a whole episode. We probably will do an episode of that.
Somebody write that down.
So speaking of the 70s, my next movie is my favorite David Fincher film. I would argue with anybody that it's his best film, and that is Zodiac. It's actually what I would also say is his last decent movie. Although, well, I guess this what's the Facebook movie? The Social Network.
Social Network.
The Social Network, I think, is probably his last good movie. But this is his last great movie. And this is basically the story of the Zodiac killer who terrorized San Francisco and the country in the 70s. And this is the story of the guy who became...
Ted Cruz you're talking about?
And this is the story of the guy who became obsessed with the Zodiac and ended up... He started as a cartoonist at the San Francisco Tribune and ended up becoming so obsessed that he quit his job and became a Zodiac expert and wrote several books about the Zodiac. So this is sort of a combination of his life story plus some real events. But it's a super creepy, awesome 3-hour, very dry procedural that's sort of just about not just the Zodiac and the actual crimes, but the phenomenon of the fear and the different ways in which it played out in the public space, you know. So what I've got first is a scene from the movie that is pretty hilarious to me because it actually happened. So in this scene, the Zodiac, quote unquote, someone's claiming to be the Zodiac, calls into a live talk show because he said he would talk to this pop psychiatrist that was often on talk shows at the time. So this was broadcast live, and this guy called in who was either the Zodiac or claiming to be the Zodiac, while they stupidly tried to keep him on the phone and trace the call, which obviously didn't work out at all. But it just shows the paranoia at the time, and the level of fear was such that it just gripped the whole city, that they would even put this guy on TV because they thought, well, we got to, because otherwise he's threatening to kill kids and stuff, and they just did kind of what he wanted. So here's just that scene.
Who am I speaking with?
This is the Zodiac speaking.
Is there something I can call you that's a little less ominous?
Sam.
Sam. Is there somewhere we can meet Sam and talk about this?
Meet me on top of the Fairmont Hotel without anyone else, or I'll jump.
Have a unit go to the Fairmont Hotel.
Sam.
Yes.
Do you think you need medical care?
Medical, not mental.
Do you have health problems?
I'm sick. I have headaches.
Headaches? I have headaches too, but a chiropractor stopped them a week ago. I think I can help you, Sam. Sam?
Knows they're tracing his calls.
Sam, we'd like you to know that we are not tracing these calls. It's a long, difficult process and ineffective with these short calls.
Sam?
Uh-huh.
We're not tracing these calls. You have my word.
Okay.
Sam, you need to tell me what your problem is.
I don't want to go to the gas chamber. I have headaches. I kill. I don't get them.
That is fucked up.
You want to live, don't you? Well, this is your passport. How long have you been having these headaches?
Since I killed a kid.
Do you have blackouts?
Yes.
Do you have fits?
No, I just have headaches.
Did you attempt to call one other time when F. Lee Bailey was with us 2 or 3 weeks ago?
Yes.
And why did you want to talk to Mr. Bailey?
Why do you want to talk to me, Sam?
I don't want to be hurt.
Why is he calling?
I don't want to go to the gas chamber.
You won't get hurt if you talk to me.
You're not going to the gas chamber.
I wouldn't think they would ask for capital punishment.
We should ask the district attorney. Do you want me to do that?
Just it's sort of a pointless scene, but it just is, I love the way it shows how they just had no idea how to deal with that at all. And some excellent cross-cutting. But yeah, Zodiac, also a pretty open-ended film, so don't expect a tight resolution.
Yeah, I mean, there was none.
Yeah, but awesome movie. And let's show the trailer for that.
Dear editor, this is the murderer of the 2 teenagers last Christmas at Lake Herman and the girl on the 4th of July.
I want you to print this cipher on the front page of your paper.
He wants his code in the afternoon edition.
Ray Smith, don't you have a cartoon to finish?
The Zodiac Killer has come to San Francisco.
Another letter.
School children make nice targets.
He gave himself a name.
Greek, Morse code, astrological signs. This guy's used them all.
I like killing people because man is the most dangerous animal of all.
How does one do that?
I like puzzles. I do them a lot.
Got any hard suspects?
About 90 an hour. I'm up to around 500.
You got 4 crime scenes, not a single usable print. You can't think of this case in normal police terms.
He's breaking the pattern.
Glenda said you were a cartoonist.
Oh, yeah.
What are you doing at the gun range?
I just want to help.
What are you, some kind of Boy Scout? Eagle Scout, actually. First class.
Oh, I've been thinking.
Oh, God, say, listen.
There's no evidence, Robert.
What do you mean there's no evidence? You have him seen with the ciphers, the military blueprints, the bloody knife.
All circumstantial.
Why do you need to do this?
Because nobody else will.
Dave, you made a mistake. Get away from the window.
Oh, are you okay?
No.
Why'd you do it? You put your face out there for him to see.
Hello? Who is this?
Zodiac was my job. It's not yours. He's still out there, Dave.
Killing is his compulsion. It drives him. It's in his blood.
Jeez. What?
Squirrels.
This is the Zodiac speaking.
I've begun.
I can give you a lift to the service station.
Do you always go around helping people in the night?
I'm not the Zodiac. And if I was, I certainly wouldn't tell you.
Are you sure there's nobody else in the house?
Not a great trailer, but it gives you a good idea.
Still creepy.
But yeah, it's a good movie about obsession. Okay, so my final choice is a pretty new movie that I think was somewhat overlooked upon release, or very overlooked, and that is Paul Thomas Anderson's Inherent Vice, which was based on the Thomas Pynchon novel of a few years back. And it's essentially, I guess if you look at Paul Thomas Anderson's filmography, it's his sort of Big Lebowski. It's an ode to Dashiell Hammett and that Raymond Chandler era L.A. crime noir. So it involves a central mystery of the main character, Doc Sportello, who is a hippie sort of PI. His girlfriend, Shasta McFay, has gone missing, and he's been hired to find her, and then she turns up, and she's part of a much larger conspiracy involving, as it always does in LA, involving land. So it's sort of an ode to those classic films like The Big Sleep, and also more modern ones like Chinatown. And it's a hilarious movie because it makes sense, but you have to watch the movie I've seen the movie probably 25, 30 times, and I only started understanding exactly how all the dots fit together at about the 10th one. Now, either I'm particularly slow or it's a dense movie
I've seen it
understand
3 times and I still don't know.
And you don't, and it's sort of not the point, which is why you don't understand, because they don't really make an effort to connect things for you. That's not really the point. The point is that it's such a Byzantine, ridiculous mystery, and watching Doc meet all these crazy characters. Part of the reason I think is because every single character has a totally bizarre name that you can't remember, and you'll hear their name once, and then they want you to connect, or they don't care, but then you have to connect that dot an hour and a half later from that name you heard once that's a totally bizarre name mixed in with a bunch of other bizarre names.
Yeah, I mean, normally a movie would show you the little flashback or remember when we met this person, and they don't do any of that. It's just we're moving forward.
But I love it. I love the vibe. I think Joaquin Phoenix is a genius actor, and he's incredible in this movie, and so is Josh Brolin, and their relationship makes me laugh pretty much every time I watch it. So this is one of the trailers. There's a whole bunch of different trailers that try to give you the vibe of the movie, and this is maybe the one that's the most successful, since it actually uses the voiceover of Joanna Newsom, who did the voiceover in the actual film and plays a character in the film. So check out this trailer.
It's the tail end of the psychedelic 60s, and paranoia is running the day. If it isn't Charlie Manson, it's the LAPD or the FBI or the mysterious body of something called the Golden Fang.
So what's all this now?
Everything's gone from groovy to where you at, man, suggesting a high level of fear or discomfort with the way things are headed. This is Doc Sportello. He's a private investigator. Whoa!
Are you alright?
Am I?
Are you?
And like a peculiar planet in today's horoscope, in through the door walks Doc's ex-old lady Shasta and those 5 little words.
I need your help, Doc.
It's too bad that fear should be running sunny Southern California as in days of old, like the Watts riots or the Hollywood blacklist.
Look at the greedy little hippie.
But every once in a while, a hero like Doc Sportello shows up to help salvage his generation and guide it back to more merciful shores.
Is that a swastika on that man's face? No, it isn't. That's an ancient Hindu symbol meaning all is well.
Maybe you'll just want to see the movie Inherent Vice.
It was pretty roundly dismissed by critics as a come down from his last couple films, but that's sort of the same reaction critics always have when the Coens do like a light comedy,
like a fun
in between their more heavy movies. So critics can go to hell. You're wrong. So those are three of my favorite mystery thrillers. Gil?
Nice. First for me is Chinatown, the 1974 Roman Polanski.
Chinatown.
I have not been here in many years.
Shout out to Kenny Adomi.
Indeed. So if you haven't seen Chinatown, it is a mystery movie around the sort of water wars of L.A. and the creation of L.A. in and of itself, and it's a very deep film noir movie. Jack Nicholson is Jake Gittes, or Gitz, depending on who's pronouncing his name at the time. And he's hired by a woman to follow her husband, and he takes pictures. He's a private eye, and it turns out that it wasn't actually his wife who hired him, and then the mystery just sort of goes from there. There's murder, there's intrigue, there's double entendre,
and of course,
all sorts of
land deals.
Yeah, and
water rights and land deals, two things in LA that are always in mystery stories.
So this is a scene with John Huston, who plays Noah Cross, talking to Jack Nicholson, and this is relatively early in the movie as they're sort of trying to push him along in the case, and he's constantly dealing with the cops and the different people who've hired him and the different interests of everyone around, and there's a lot of money at stake and a lot of sort of land. And so this is sort of them talking about how he's going to proceed in the case.
Do you remember the last time you saw Mulray?
At my age, you tend to forget.
It was 5 days ago outside the Pig and Whistle, and you had one hell of an argument. I got the pictures in my office, if that'll help you remember. What was the argument about?
My daughter.
What about her?
Just find the girl, Mr. Getz. I happen to know Hollis was fond of her. I'd like to help her if I can.
I had no idea you and Hollis were that fond of one another.
Hollis Mulray made this city, and he made me a fortune. We were a lot closer than Evelyn realized.
If you want to hire me, I still have to know what the argument was about.
My daughter's a very jealous woman. I didn't want her to find out about the girl.
How did you find out?
I still got a few teeth left in my head and a few friends in town.
Okay. I'll have my secretary draw up the papers. Tell me, are you frightened for the girl or what Evelyn might do to her?
Just find the girl.
I'll look into it. As soon as I've checked out some orange groves.
Orange groves?
We'll be in touch, Mr. Cross.
So Jack Nicholson's pretty great in that movie as the smartest guy in the room who most of the time still doesn't really know what's going on. And he's duped and...
It's a classic.
Playing other people along, so...
It's a classic film.
Indeed. Very mysterious.
Polanski's best.
Yeah, and he gets to have the cameo of slicing Jack Nicholson's nose open.
He gets away with a lot of things.
Yeah. He's a kind of total piece of shit. But good movie. If you can separate the art from the artist. Next for me is We should do a whole David Fincher episode because...
Are you doing a David Fincher movie next?
I am indeed. The 1997 film The Game with Michael Douglas as... What's his name?
Good
Nicholas
mystery.
Van Orden.
Rich douche. It's
kind of the
role he's been playing for the last 25 years quite well.
He's breaking character a little bit, and he is a rich douche. And
what? Michael Douglas is a rich douche.
This is sort of a paranoid, schizophrenic Christmas Carol kind of movie where it's he's all alone and he's got his money.
Christmas Carol? What do you mean?
Like a Ghost of Christmas Past kind of thing.
I got you.
And so his brother, Sean Penn, who has sort of disappeared, shows up, and it's his 50th birthday or not 48th birthday. And so Sean Penn shows up to give him a birthday present. And what do you give the man who has everything? And it turns out to be
a game.
So he goes to Consumer Recreational Services, where he takes this battery of tests, and then
begins LARPing.
Basically, and the game begins, and sort of the whole thing of the movie is you never know sort of what's real and what's the game, and then he sort of...
Is he losing his mind?
Yeah, how much of it is all in his mind versus how much is the game, and then goes from there. So this is the first scene of him after he's sort of thinks he's started his game, but he's not really exactly sure what's going on.
But what does that matter to a bloated millionaire fat cat like you? In other financial news, stock markets rose both domestically and abroad today after the announcement of stronger than expected earnings by several high-tech companies, but dipped again, reacting to reports that Nicholas Van Orton had sneezed. Are you going to spend the rest of the evening prying at that clown's mouth?
I
It's
don't...
frustrating for me if you don't pay attention.
What is this?
This is your game, Nicholas, and welcome to it. I'm here to let you in on a few ground rules. You receive the very first key, and others will follow. You'll never know where you'll find them or how you'll need to use them, so keep your eyes open.
How do you can see me?
Let's save the questions till afterwards.
How does this work?
There's a tiny camera looking at you right now.
It's impossible.
You're right, impossible. You're having a conversation with your television. It's miniaturized. You know how dangerous that is?
Mr. Van Orton?
And in domestic news, in Southern California...
Yes, Ilse, what is it?
Is everything all right?
Fine.
Petroleum processing plant yesterday.
I've finished for the evening. Will you be needing anything else?
No, I won't, Ilse. Thank you. Good night.
Good night, then.
In a petroleum processing plant yesterday. Several workers were injured in the... What's that?
Never mind who that is.
You want to know how a camera got into your home, don't
Yes, I would.
Cold? Colder. Warm? Warmer? Write this number down. It's a 24-hour consumer recreation services hotline for emergencies only. But don't call asking what the object of the game is. Figuring that out is the object of the game. Good luck.
That's some pretty impressive technology. They still don't have that today. That we know of. Consumer recreation services might have access to.
Yeah, so if you have a whole lot of money to start the game, maybe all of this is the game.
What? So it's, but I like the game. Yeah, it's prime Fincher. You know, it's one of his better movies.
Yeah, as I was coming up with my list, I realized that I had multiple Fincher movies, and I was just sort of realizing that was time to probably not have the Fincher episode.
Let it go.
Indeed.
Take your hands off the wheel.
And last for me is the 2003 Old Boy, not the Spike Lee.
I love Josh Brolin in Old Boy. Not as Old Boy?
Not as...
Oh, look, I'm right in the heart of his head.
You are, in fact, Old Boy.
What a weird still to choose, Sean, knowing that there were two heads there. But anyway, he's a designer. The guy that picked this layout for us to be over is a designer. He did it on purpose. It's very clever.
Yeah, it looks super creepy.
It's great.
When we do next year's Upfront and we pick a pre-flight clip, we'll pick this one to make sure that we scare the ever-living shit out of everybody. So Chan-Woo Park, Old Boy, this is the second of his Vengeance trilogy. And I think I probably like Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance more, the first of those movies, but it's not really a mystery, so not very appropriate for today. But this movie I really like a lot. Daisuo it's his daughter's 4th birthday, and he gets drunk like you do on your daughter's birthday, and he gets arrested, and his friend comes and bails him out, and they're making a phone call to try to call his wife and his daughter to sort of explain what happens, and he gets kidnapped, and he's held for 15 years in kind of an apartment hotel room, and goes through all sorts of psychological tortures, and then he's just dumped out of a Foot Locker into the world, and he's given a phone and some money, and he's sort of set on his course. So he tries to find his family and realizes that that's sort of gone. His daughter's been adopted and she's in Europe. So then he tries to find the guy who's imprisoned him, and he finds out that this is totally terrifying, there's a private prison that you can just pay to imprison people. And so this scene is after he has broken into that prison and interrogated the sort of warden to find out who paid to imprison him. And this is the scene that they make an homage to in the Daredevil season.
Netflix series, Netflix homage being a kind word.
But this is him solving the mystery by beating the ever-loving shit out of a bunch of guys
30 people
in a hallway in a
Check it out.
Sweet way.
Hammer time.
I like that at the beginning of that, before that clip starts, he brings the guy out and asks who's type AB blood because they need to give him a blood transfusion because he's ripped all his teeth out with the hammer. So he's looking out for the little guy after he totally destroys them. So that is my last top mystery movie. Let's check out Adult Swim Facebook's choices for mystery movie. Clue.
Clue is a comedy with a mystery in it, so I guess it counts. The Bone Collector.
Did you see Clue in the theater where there was the different endings in each of the things and you had to see it 3 times to see all the endings?
You know what's weird is 90s kids love Clue, and I hate to break it to you once again, 90s kids, that movie's a piece of shit. The Bone Collector is also a total piece of shit, which surprised me that it showed up here, but it does star 2 very famous people, so maybe. Yeah. Maltese Falcon, of course, is a classic. Signs surprised me as well, although there is a mystery at the center of Signs. It's more of a science fiction film. And then Inside Man's kind of a weird choice because it's not even a mystery. It's like...
Will he get away with it,
yeah,
I guess,
will Clive Owen get away with it as a mystery? But weirdly, we have 2 Denzel Washington films showing up in our top 5 for
someone write down best Denzel Washington movies.
So let's check out the Toonami Facebook favorite mystery movies. Clue. What is it with you 90s kids, man? Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which does have a mystery at the center of it, so that's an excellent choice because I never even would have thought of it. Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island is a well-regarded, more recent Scooby-Doo movie that has a mystery in it. Dude, Where's My Car? I can't tell.
I feel like this has got to be ironic.
I can't tell if that's a joke or not.
Tip of the cap. And then we saw that movie in the theater, so.
And then the Detective Conan movies, which of course are mysteries. So thank you guys for voting.
A varied Facebook poll.
So let's move on to our sneak peek of the week, which is a promo for our July 2nd Hunter x Hunter marathon. We will be marathoning around the holiday times because the ratings are usually lower, and we're going to just sort of let everybody get a chance to catch up on Hunter x Hunter. So here is our Hunter x Hunter marathon promo.
This 4th of July weekend, Toonami's going hunting.
People become hunters to join the world's most noble profession. I'm going to be the best hunter in the world.
I hope nobody gets killed.
Join us as we marathon the first 7 episodes of a one-of-a-kind epic adventure.
Voracious creatures feast on human prey.
You claim to be hunter material, but I'll be the judge.
The Hunter x Hunter Marathon, next Saturday night at 11:30.
That looks so fun.
I don't know why.
I don't know
why we're doing
the version
this
we
show.
have is a version with test VO, and our editor Dave likes to do stupid ass voices when he's doing his test VO. We're gonna have a little chat with him after this episode.
Yeah. Probably during the episode because he's putting this episode together.
Yeah,
so.
hey Dave, stop with the dumbass voices on your edits. Okay, so then next up we have a sneak peek, which is the thing we're gonna a special little music video presentation we have for you guys. So the artist, Thundercat, who is an amazing jazz musician who's on the label Brain Feeder, that's Flying Lotus's label, had come to us and offered us a premiere of his new music video that's an animated video. And of course, we said yes because Brain Feeder is our fam. So here is the Thundercat video for Song for the Dead. So check it out. Cool.
That's awesome.
Well, thank you to Thundercat and our Brain Feeder fam for that premiere. And then next up, we have another edition of the Bloom Room, where Steve talks to some people from the NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory.
Yeah, it's Steve's son's girlfriend's brother saw Ferris pass out at 31 Flavors last night, and he's going to take us through some sort of planet, something that I didn't really understand.
Check it out.
Hey, Toonami. This week on the Bloom Room, I take you back to Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena, California. It's a whole different experience this time. Check it out. My son Dev and his girlfriend Chloe were in town this week, and Chloe's brother Kalen works at JPL, so we were treated to an amazing tour. Kalen specializes in exoplanets. He can explain what it is much better than I.
Hi, so my name is Kalen Henderson, and I'm a new NASA postdoctoral fellow here at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Southern California. And my research focuses on looking for exoplanets. So these are planets that are outside of our solar system, so either gravitationally tethered to a star, or we believe that there might be a large contingent of planets that are free-floating. So either formed not around any star, or formed around a star, and then were dynamically kicked out. And so I actually use a couple of the spacecraft that were designed and constructed here at JPL. So in specific, the Kepler Space Telescope and the Spitzer Space Telescope. And I specialize in using a technique called gravitational microlensing. So this uses the fact that massive objects such as planets, or even stars and galaxies, will bend or refract the light from more distant objects. And this is something that allows us to explore the different demographics of exoplanets. How common are they? What kinds of stars have planets? How many planets do they have?
In his office, Kalen showed us his doodle board. His level of smart makes my brain hurt. JPL tried to put their initials on the tires of the Mars rover Curiosity. NASA said no, so they put it on there anyway, in Morse code. It's still tagging it all over Mars. And then, Voyager. Launched in 1977, the twin Voyager 1 and 2 spacecraft are exploring where nothing from Earth has flown before. In August 2012, Voyager 1 made the historic entry into interstellar space, the region between stars. Both spacecraft are still sending scientific information about their surroundings through the Deep Space Network, or DSN. While in the Voyager room, Fernando Peralta, one of the main guys responsible for Voyager and many other missions, happened to be there and gave us a private lecture on the spacecraft and what it does. Blew our space-loving minds. There was so much more to see and do at JPL. The unsung heroes at Caltech, JPL, and NASA are literally discovering new worlds every day. If you have the chance, go. And until next time, I'll see you in the Bloom Room and beyond. Only Toonami on Adult Swim.
Once again, Steve he's an active
Living
man.
the dream.
You know, he's an active dude. You know, my time off, I don't do shit.
The DeMarco room is just a darkened chamber.
It's just books and movies. So next up is this week's new Adult Swim single. So, of course, Adult Swim Singles is currently going on, where we premiere a new song from a different artist every week for the next, we're probably, 20 weeks left still, or 19 weeks. So this week's track is from a metal band called Sonhet. I really like them a lot, and I'm really happy we got a track from them. So as you guys watch this broadcast, the track is available right now at adultswim.com/singles. So we're just going to give you a little preview of it so you can see if you want to check it out. So Sonhet, that's one of only 3 metal jams we have this year, but one of my favorites. So if you're interested in that or other Adult Swim singles, go to adultswim.com/singles, download them, stream them, share them with your friends, and let people know. Thanks. And then finally, we have one announcement, which is that Gil and I,
both of us,
not the royal we, will be appearing at this year's Anime Expo 2016 on Friday, July 1st. From 7:30 to 8:30, we will be...
Is that Eastern time?
No.
Okay.
We will be announcing a bunch of different stuff. We'll be
For reals.
Yeah, we'll be giving away a bunch of different stuff. Some large announcements, some small ones. We'll be taking questions.
Giving stuff out.
We will have our friend Maki Terashima Furuta, who is a producer for Fooly Cooly 2 and 3 there to talk Fooly Cooly. We will also have some special guests in the audience. It's going to be a fun time. So if you're in the area, check it out. We're also going to try to record it and either, I guess, cut it together and broadcast it or stream it, one or the other. We're still figuring that out. And
probably the latter.
And I and Gil will also be appearing on a couple other Production IG and Fooly Cooly panels over the course of Anime Expo. So if you're in LA and you're thinking about going, go check it out, check us out, and if you see us, say hi.
Or don't.
Or don't. You know, you could just not say hi and we could go about our day and nothing would...
Just do the nod.
It'd be fine.
Or do the sup.
Yeah, you don't have to say hi. There's no pressure.
Yeah.
But you could say hi. Just don't touch. Don't hug without asking. Otherwise, do whatever you want. Oh, no. See, that's exactly what I'm talking about. He's being a don't be, not a doobie. All right, so
let's go.
That wraps up today's episode of Toonami Pre-Flight. Join us next week for another all-new broadcast. Ew!